Are you struggling to break a bad habit, but no matter what you try, it just won't budge? Here's the surprising truth. The key to breaking a bad habit isn't more willpower or tougher discipline. So before you give up or judge yourself as weak, keep watching. If you're new here, hi, I'm Elizabeth, a leading humanitarian, former United Nations Senior Advisor, and the author of the book Human Skills, The Power to Connect, your human manual for navigating all human interactions. In this video, I'm revealing 2 surprising human skills that can help you finally break that bad habit once and for all. But before we can break a bad habit, we need to understand why it happens in the first place. Here's the thing. Bad habits are sneaky. They often feel good for a moment, but leave us feeling guilty, drained, or stuck afterwards. Maybe you find yourself online shopping, racking up debt just to cope with a rough day. Maybe you're constantly scrolling on your phone, even though you know it's wasting your time and energy. Or maybe it's emotional eating or binge watching when you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed. It all seems harmless until it becomes automatic. And here's the part that we often miss. Bad habits aren't just behaviors. They are attempts to meet a need, but we are not always aware of what that need is. Most bad habits are emotional responses to something deeper: stress, boredom, insecurity, and even loneliness. They are not random. They are coping mechanisms, ones we reach for without even thinking. This is known as the habit loop, which author Duhigg discusses in his book, The Power of Habit. He puts it this way. There is a cue, which is a trigger that starts the loop, then a craving, an emotional or mental urge, followed by the response, the behavior or habit itself, and finally, the reward, that momentary sense of relief or satisfaction. Unless we understand where we are in this loop, it's hard to break the pattern. And so this is how we get stuck, repeating the same pattern day after day. So how exactly can human skills help us break this cycle? It starts with 2 of the most powerful tools we have: self-awareness and emotional awareness. These aren't just concepts. They are skills you can build. And they are game changers when it comes to breaking the bad habit that no longer serves you. Let's begin with self-awareness. Self-awareness is your ability to notice yourself, your thoughts, your behaviors, your triggers without judgment. It's the inner skill of pressing pause long enough to ask, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Is this helping or hurting me? Most of us go through our days on autopilot. We react to stress, discomfort, or boredom without ever thinking to ask why. But when you start practicing self-awareness, you begin to see the pattern clearly. You notice that you tend to scroll late at night, not because you're entertained, but because you're avoiding something. You recognize that you snack constantly, not out of hunger, but because your mind is looking for distraction or comfort. Being self-aware is akin to finally turning the light on in a room you've always walked through in the dark. In my book, Human Skills, The Power to Connect, I talk about self-awareness as one of the core foundations of every other human skill. That's because you can't change what you don't recognize. If you can't see what's happening inside, you can't change what's happening outside. In that moment, you become aware of your triggers and your routines. You create space to make a different choice. Now, let's talk about the second human skill that is key to enabling you to break a bad habit: emotional awareness. If self-awareness is knowing what you're doing and why, emotional awareness, on the other hand, is knowing what you're feeling and how those feelings are influencing your behavior. Here's the truth. Behind every bad habit is a feeling we haven't fully acknowledged: stress, anxiety, loneliness, frustration, even boredom. When we are not emotionally aware, we act on those feelings without realizing it. We pour a glass of wine, we hit the edge shopping cart, or we scroll for an hour, not because it's what we really want, but because it gives us a momentary escape from an emotion we haven't yet named. But once you build emotional awareness, you can interrupt the cycle. You can start saying, I'm not just bored, I'm disconnected. I'm not actually hungry, I'm anxious. I don't need to spend money, I need rest. That moment of naming your emotion gives you power. It creates a gap between the urge and the action, and in that gap, you can choose something better. It doesn't mean you never slip up, but it does mean you will begin to respond rather than react. And that's where real change begins. Now that we've looked at self-awareness and emotional awareness, here's where it all comes together. To break a bad habit, you can't just remove it. You have to replace it with something that meets the same emotional need in a healthier way. Let's say your bad habit is late night scrolling. With self-awareness, you notice the pattern that you always reach for your phone after a stressful day. With emotional awareness, you realize what's really going on. You're feeling overwhelmed. You're feeling disconnected. Now, instead of scrolling until 1 a.m. and waking up exhausted, you make a different choice. Maybe you stretch. Maybe you journal for 5 minutes. Or you might even call a friend. Or just simply sit with that emotion rather than run away from it. Don't get me wrong, the urge won't magically disappear. But now you're not reacting blindly, rather you're responding consciously. And every time you make that choice, you're building a new habit, one that actually supports your well-being. This is how lasting change happens, not through force, but through awareness, through curiosity, which is another core human skill, and through learning to meet your real needs with care and not quick fixes. What's truly powerful about self-awareness and emotional awareness is that they go far beyond breaking bad habits. These skills strengthen how you lead, how you relate, how you recover from setbacks, and how you care for your mental and emotional well-being. They are not just survival tools, they are growth tools. And the more you practice them, the more natural it becomes to make decisions that actually serve you, not sabotage you. In my book, Human Skills, I share simple, practical exercises to help you build these skills in your everyday life. Tools that will make it easier for you to become more aware, more connected, more intentional, one moment at a time. So let's recap. Bad habits don't stick because you're weak. They stick because they are meeting a need you haven't yet fully understood. The way to break them isn't through more pressure or perfection, but through powerful human skills, starting with self-awareness and emotional awareness. When you become more aware of your triggers and your feelings, you stop reacting out of habit and start choosing with intention. So next time you feel yourself slipping into an old bad habit, pause, take a breath, ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What do I really need? That simple moment of awareness, just noticing without judgment, could be the very start of real lasting change. If this video resonated with you, go ahead and hit the like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might need it. Also, I would love to hear from you. What's one habit you are trying to shift right now? Or what's one insight from this video that landed with you? Drop it in the comments. I read them all. Thank you for being here and for doing the inner work. I will see you in the next video.